All right, I just wanted to do an overview of the disaster area design DPC-5. This isn't the Gen 3, this is the older version. Still super useful. I had this on my pedal board for 5+ years. I just recently sold it. Not sold it, sorry. I'm selling it because I've upgraded to the Mastermind PBC. Yeah, this is just a little bit more in depth. You can go quite a bit deeper on editing and pages and stuff like that. But yeah, I've had this unit for 5+ years, like I said. I'm just gonna go overview kind of a little bit of the features, kind of maybe dive into MIDI a little bit and how I used it over the years. So right now we're in yellow. So the best way to think of this is you kind of switch modes using this larger button here. So I'm gonna go back to yellow. Might look like green on the camera, but you're gonna have to trust me, it's yellow. So this is looper mode. So kind of what you see is what you get. So the way I used to run it is I only used the 3 loops. I had a reverb, blue sky in there, a Timmy overdrive, and then my OCD in there. I didn't use these 2 loops. My timeline I just kept at the end and used the MIDI to control it, so I didn't actually have that in the loop. So yeah, pretty simple. You know, if you wanted like a clean tone, just reverb, boom, I'd have that. Add a little bit more drive with the Timmy, and then kind of lead tones there. So the yellow page is pretty easy. Yeah, pretty simple. So now we go into, this is the purple mode. This is the MIDI control. I'm going to come back to this because this can get a little bit more in depth. So I've got 3 pages set up here that kind of like I'd consider them the program mode. So I'll just show you on this one. You're gonna see this move here because I'm setting MIDI signal to the Strymon. So the way I would lay it out, I used it for playing in church. So typically we'd have 4 songs. So the first song was typically a banger. So you know, I wouldn't have a clean tone. I would have kind of an overdrive and then a lead tone, and then I'd get another song 2 would be these 3 buttons, which would be kind of clean, pushed, and then lead tone. So if we just look at, I'm gonna hit this one, you can see how these lights will flash. So that kind of shows you which loop is engaged in the back. So if I go to this one here, you're gonna see these 2 come on. Sorry, I had my Timmy in this one. So that would be the light drive, and then we come here, all 3 are on. So that means my OCD is engaged. We come here, just that one comes on. So that means just the reverb, same thing, you're gonna see these 2. And then all 3 on this one. So kind of clean, pushed, overdrive tone. So that's kind of how I left this set up. And then what I would change from week to week as the songs would change is pretty much just my timeline. So, you know, let's say first song, I've got a tape delay, doesn't change there. Then we go into song 2, which looks like surrounded. So that's kind of how I program this page. So there's 3 pages. I believe you can have 5 pages. You can turn them on and off when you can configure this, the looper, just by reading the manual. When you turn it on, I can't remember exactly. You hold the button when you power it on, and then you're able to kind of change the layout. So I have 3 pages. I've got a green, which I laid out a little bit differently than the first one, and then blue, which same kind of runs the same as this one. So this one, what I would do is a clean tone. I'd usually run 1 song on this, which were typically slower songs. So clean, you know, I'd usually start the song there. Those Graves into Gardens, increasing the overdrive, increasing. This one, I didn't really use this one that much. This would have been a clean, but And then this one would be pad. So I'd use that for big kind of swells. So I always kind of used, you know, clean, pushed, lead. And then if I was doing a pad or ambient kind of thing, I'd use that. So that would be page 2. And then we go into song 4, which is page 3. And same idea, Waymaker. And then this one would be pad. So I'd always just leave this on the pad to send to MIDI. So there's these pages. So I've got 3 pages here, but then you can also get in and use folders. So you can be on the blue page, but then use folder 1, folder 2, folder 3, folder 4. So it's something like 127 presets or something like that. I never used that many. I think I maybe once or twice dipped into the folders. Anyway, I just kind of left it, you know, 3 times 5, 15. So I had 15 presets, and that was more than enough for me, the way I used it. And then we go into white. So white is, I used the looper function for the timeline. So this would, you know, you'd be recording, that's playing the loop, stop the loop. And then you do reverse halftime. I can't remember exactly how it's laid out. I typically would just use, you know, record a loop and then play it. And then actually what you can do is I had an expression pedal hooked up to here, and you could use the expression pedal to fade in the loop volume. So what I would do is I'd maybe make a loop in the key of A, and I would just swell it down, and so the loop would always be going throughout the whole worship set. And then when the song came that was in let's say one of the slower songs in key of A, I could just fade that up, and now I have this kind of loop under, like kind of like a pad sound underneath my guitar. So maybe the keyboardist is playing a piano bit, I could bring in that pad and just kind of fill up that space and let the keyboardist do their thing. So it's kind of one of the tricks I use with this thing, and that's one of the reasons I loved it, was just being able to do that little trick, and everyone would kind of wonder what I was doing. Anyways, I think I have another YouTube video on making that pad. So that's looper mode, and then we're back to yellow. So let's dip back into MIDI. So right now, you can control up to 4 devices. So this is channel, MIDI channel 1, it starts at 2, 3, 4, 5. Channel 1 is this device. So you could have another MIDI controller controlling this. But for the sake of today, I have MIDI channel 2 here. And so I've set this in the global settings to MIDI channel 2. Pretty simple, and just kind of hooks up. So, so now these are talking together. So then when you want to go into the second one here, I'm gonna see if I never had a second MIDI device hooked up to this. Oh, sorry. You hold this, it's flashing, and you can see there, we've got into 2. So now we're in the second page there. Anyways, I'm gonna switch it back. What I used to do too is I always just keep the manual on my phone. So if I ever had an issue and I needed to program that, I just had the manual on my phone that I could go, oh yeah, that's how you do this. Yeah, some of this is a little bit of committing it to memory. It takes a little bit of time, but once you kind of get the hang of it, yeah, it's pretty easy. So what we'll do here, this is just cycling through. This is going through. So, you know, we could go without you, and we want to save that to a page. So I'd go here, I'd hold this. This will start flashing. So when we're in the red page, let's go do green, oh, went past it, red, blue, green, sorry, blue. So we will go to the blue page, and then we wanted to save it on the 4th slot. So now we've just saved without you on the 4th slot. So now if we go back to the blue page, Waymaker, without you is saved on there. And then pad is there. So, yeah, so that kind of shows the MIDI function of this. This is on and off, so you could save to a folder that you've turned it off if you don't want it. So the cool thing about this is you could go without you. I want it on there, but I don't want it engaged. So you could save it, so it would change it to without you to that channel, but it wouldn't engage it. And then that way you could turn it on. Let's say the other button has it on. Anyways, okay, I just wanted to show how you change the loops, how you program the loops, if you want to change them. Like I said, I usually kept them kind of pre-programmed, right? So like I said, here we've got all 3. You got the 3 loops that I use, kind of a lead tone, kind of a push tone on this. So if you want to change that, you'd hold down this button and it goes to yellow mode. So that shows what you have. So let's add, once again, I didn't use these loops, but let's just add them. So you go there. I'm going to save it onto this button 2 here on the red page. So I'm going to hold this. Now you could cycle. So it's saying, do you want the red page? You could cycle through to save it to different pages, but we do want to save it on the red page. We're going to save it to this one. So then we're just going to hold this down. There you go. Now I will say what's going to happen is we get into this mode. So I haven't dived into this, but you can do like TRS, which would be like if you wanted to switch an amp, you can do that with this. I never did. It's just another little like layer of programming that I never really got into. Once again, I had an amp on clean. It was an AC30, so it didn't even have channels to change. So I never got into that. But then just hold this B6 button. It pops you out. Should pop you out. There we go. And then we've made our change there. So we've got those 2, and now we made the change, those 2 plus these 2. And as you notice, it didn't change the MIDI because we would have had to gone into the MIDI folder to change the MIDI. Anyways, if there's any other questions or things that you want to know, let me know. Once again, the manual always helped me, just if I was ever in a pinch to be able to work around it. This really capable device. And I think there's even an online editor. I never once hooked it up. You can upgrade software and stuff like that. I never hooked it up to that. My friend sold it to me kind of like this, and I used it. So I don't even know what version is. Also, these guys are awesome customer service. If you write an email, they'll usually reply that day. So yeah, I hope that kind of shows off the potential of this.